Jillian once again watched out the window as the shuttle took off. She works as a school teacher at the junior high school. Suddenly, one of the students told Mrs. Armacost that there was a phone call for her. She received a call from the NASA Communications Center and was connected to her husband. This seemed startling to Jillian because Spencer was orbiting Earth right now. Jillian shared the happy event with her sister Nan. She thinks Jillian is very lucky to have a husband. Suddenly, the TV started showing the breaking news. At that moment, the doorbell rang. A man standing on the doorstep introduced himself as Sherman Reese. He works for NASA. Without explaining anything, Sherman asked Jillian to go with him. Natalie, the wife of Captain Alex Streck, was also brought to NASA. The women embraced, unable to hold back tears. They believe their husbands are dead. However, they were soon reassured by NASA's director, who said that the astronauts were alive. It turned out that they were working in outer space, repairing a satellite. At some point, there was an explosion, and for 2 minutes the command center lost contact with the astronauts. Now they are already on the shuttle and will be returned to Earth as soon as possible. Sherman tapped into the shuttle's camera, and the women could see on the broadcast their husbands coming home. Spencer was admitted to the hospital. The doctor assured that he would definitely recover. However, Alex is older than his colleague, so he is now in a serious condition. Jillian was in her husband's room the entire time and never left his bedside. Finally, he woke up. Jillian was incredibly relieved. Now the worst was over. Meanwhile, Alex's condition continued to deteriorate. While delirious, the man experienced panic and had seizures. Doctors did everything possible to help him. Natalie sobbed with helplessness because she could do nothing to help her husband. This time the doctors managed to resuscitate him. Alex's heart was beating again. Jillian and Spencer were there to support Natalie. For now, Spencer has to move around in a wheelchair, but now he can go home. Soon the astronauts were being rewarded for their heroic deed. Natalie shares her concerns with Jillian. After Alex recovered, he hadn't said anything about the incident, and neither has Spencer. Jillian thinks they need time to recover from the nightmare they've been through. Later, Spencer told his wife that he had decided to leave the service. He was offered a high-paying position and he intended to accept. However, in order to do so, the couple will have to move to New York. The students asked Jillian to tell them about her astronaut husband, who became an American hero. The children are sorry to see their favorite teacher leave. The couple attended a party. Suddenly, Jillian noticed that Natalie and Alex were arguing about something in a high-pitched tone. Suddenly, Alex kissed his wife aggressively and got slapped in the face. At one point, Alex became ill. Being in a state of delirium, he went to Spencer, but the captain did not have time to say anything because he fell. The astronaut could no longer be helped. He passed away. NASA representatives spoke to journalists. Everyone is shocked by what happened. Soon the funeral took place. Jillian came to Natalie, who was sitting alone in the room. The woman confessed that lately it was as if Alex had been talking to someone not of our world. Natalie also said that someone was hiding inside her. A few minutes later, there was a scream. Everyone ran into the room and saw Natalie, who could not stand it and decided to follow her husband. Some time passed. In New York, Jillian was forced to attend all sorts of social events with her husband. Spencer became a recognizable figure in elite circles, but Jillian did not fit into that society at all. Jillian was spoken to by Shelley McLaren, who looked friendly. She is the wife of a very influential man. The women had a very nice conversation, and Shelley suggested that Jillian get together sometime. Spencer noticed his wife's distressed state. She once again asked him to tell her what had happened in orbit during those 2 minutes. As Spencer began to talk, Jillian didn't notice how they were in bed. Everything was happening to her like a fog. She could hear white noise in her head. Upon awakening, Jillian felt pain. Spencer, who could not sleep, she found on the first floor. The husband apologized for being overly rude. As Jillian taught lessons, she continued to be haunted by white noise in her head. In the evening, she called the sister and complained that she could no longer live in such a huge city. Nan reassured her and advised her to see a psychotherapist. Soon Jillian found out she was pregnant. She felt no joy. Tonight the couple attended dinner at the McLaren family's house. Spencer works for Mr. McLaren, who develops the next generation of fighters. When the owners of the house went away to put their daughter to bed, Spencer asked his wife what had been going on with her lately. Jillian admitted that she didn't belong with all those people, and neither did Spencer, who used to say he would never leave his career as a pilot. But after that accident in space, he changed. Spencer realized that his wife was hiding something from him. Jillian told that she was pregnant. The very next day, the couple went for an ultrasound. The doctor performed the examination. The gestational age was 9 weeks. The couple also found out they were expecting twins. When left alone with the doctor, Jillian confessed that she had been on the verge of a nervous breakdown several years ago when her parents passed away. Now Jillian feared the pregnancy would cause a relapse, but the doctor reassured her. Jillian was plagued by nightmares. Spencer was always there to support her. Jillian admitted that she was scared, but the husband said it was perfectly normal. They had to get through it together. Jillian attended a support group for mothers who are expecting twins. Even here, she feels like an outsider. A few months have passed. Jillian is slowly getting used to her pregnancy. She's even starting to like it. Jillian was frightened by the sudden appearance of Spencer. The couple seemed happy and looking forward to the birth of their babies. But one day when Jillian was in the baby store, she was called by Sherman Reese, who looked worried. Sherman stated that he wanted to talk about those 2 minutes. He asked Jillian if she had noticed anything strange about her husband's behavior since that very flight. Sherman scrutinized all the data, and it turned out that even Spencer's signature on the paperwork had changed since his return. Medical indicators have also changed. Jillian thought Sherman was out of his mind. Her hunch was confirmed when she learned that he had been fired from his job. Jillian asked not to pursue her, but Sherman was persistent. Jillian was shocked when she learned that Natalie was 3 weeks pregnant before she died. Sherman is convinced that something far more horrible than just an explosion happened in orbit. Something very frightening to the experienced astronauts. Sherman put a tape in Jillian's hand with a recording of a conversation from the recorders built into the astronauts' spacesuits. Later, Jillian listened to the tape. Apparently, Alex and Spencer had seen something awful, and it was beyond their comprehension. In desperation, Jillian smashed the tape. There was a knock at the door. It turned out that Nan had decided to surprise her sister, but she immediately noticed that something was wrong. Jillian told her sister everything that had happened. Jillian also asked her to promise not to tell Spencer anything. In the evening, the couple and Nan had dinner at a restaurant. Jillian felt unwell and said she wanted to go home. Jillian was sinking deeper and deeper into depression. She can't stop thinking about Alex and Natalie. Spencer thinks she needs to stop dredging up the past and try to feel happy for once. Jillian soon called Sherman after all and learned that Natalie was also pregnant with twins. Sherman stated that he had something Jillian needed to see. The woman wonders who she is expecting children from, her beloved husband or an alien. Jillian and Sherman agreed to meet near the subway. But suddenly Sherman was spotted by Spencer, who appeared out of nowhere and struck up a conversation with him. Jillian hid and tried to get Sherman's suitcase, but Spencer beat her to it. Jillian is convinced that Nan didn't keep her promise and told Spencer everything, or he wouldn't have found out about Sherman. Nan thinks the sister has become paranoid and is losing her mind. Jillian tried to find Sherman at the hotel where he was staying, but he wasn't there. At work, Jillian found a letter from him. The envelope also contained the keys to the safe deposit box. Jillian paid an immediate came to the vault. It turned out that Sherman had been following Spencer for a long time. Seeing the tape, Jillian took it. The lights went out in the room and she panicked, lost. An employee turned on the light. At home, Jillian played back the tape. Sherman demonstrated the full recording of Spencer and Alex's conversation in orbit. However, there were not 2 audio tracks, but 3. So there was something else on the tape that was inaccessible to human hearing. Sherman found a way to decipher it. Jillian heard a familiar white noise. NASA claims it's interference, but Sherman disagrees. He's convinced it's from another planet. 2 alien beings have taken over the astronauts' bodies in order to get to Earth. Moreover, the aliens were concerned about the continuation of the species. Jillian was horrified by what she heard. Suddenly, Spencer came home, earlier than usual. Jillian tried to pretend that everything was all right. She feared the husband would watch the Sherman tape, so she lied that it was a maternity video tutorial. Spencer offered to watch it together, but she refused. As he hugged Jillian, Spencer sank into his mind, remembering how he and Alex had seen something horrible in orbit. Jillian meets with Shelley, who is able to illegally get the pills to help with her pregnancy problem. Jillian feels guilty, but Shelley assured her that there was nothing wrong with it. At home, Jillian cried, hesitating for a long time to take the pills. Just as Jillian brought the pills to her mouth, Spencer walked in and was furious. He realized what his wife wanted to do and hit her. Jillian rushed to run, but Spencer wouldn't let her get away, telling her she was doing a huge stupid thing. Suddenly, Jillian felt sick and fell down the stairs, unconscious. The doctors fought for her life and the lives of the babies. When Jillian woke up in the hospital room, Spencer was by her side. He suggested that she forget what she was trying to do. From now on, everything would be all right. Soon, Jillian is visited by Nan, who is no longer angry with her sister. Jillian is very frightened and still believes that Spencer is not who he says he is. He is no longer her husband. As the days passed, Jillian was still in the hospital. Spencer visited her regularly and warned her that if she tried to repeat her foolishness, it would not end well. Jillian is convinced that her sister is in danger. She is plagued by nightmares about Spencer doing something terrible to Nan. After waking up from another nightmare, Jillian escapes from the hospital. Spencer immediately suspected something was wrong. Jillian got into a cab and immediately realized that the husband was stalking her. In desperation, she ran out of the car and took the subway. Before her eyes stood the ghastly memories, piecing together into a single picture. Jillian wandered around all night, but Spencer found her anyway. She ran into the house. Spencer followed her. Jillian barely made it to the elevator and ended up on their floor. She barricaded the door, but Spencer still managed to sneak in. He saw his wife holding the wire of the radio. Water was dripping from the sink onto the floor, but Jillian's feet weren't touching it yet. Jillian threatened Spencer that if he came near her, she would connect the plug to the outlet. Now Jillian has no doubt that she is facing an alien creature. The alien in the form of Spencer stated that he had brought a piece of paradise with him from outer space. Spencer began to ask her to step out of the water. Seeing the abrasions on his arms, Jillian guessed that he had done something to Nan. Now Spencer is no longer in denial about who he really is. Suddenly, water came pouring down from the second floor. Spencer didn't expect Jillian to lift her feet above the floor and plug the radio into the outlet. Spencer was electrocuted. Horrified, Jillian saw some entity emerge from Spencer and move into her. Now Jillian is a carrier of an alien mind. It's been a few years. The twins have their first day of school today. The bus pulled up, and the brothers ran to the other kids. Jillian is living under a different name, now called Susan. Her new husband is also a pilot. Jillian is sure that when her sons grow up, they will be pilots, just like their father.